All right, so we'll call the board meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Kyle to order. It is 5 PM on October 8th, 2024. First agenda item is roll call.
Harper,
Here.
Lopez,
Present.
Kaufman,
Present.
Salazar. We'll give him a minute.
All right, so we do have a,
We got a quorum.
we have a quorum. All right, so next agenda item is the approval of the meeting minutes from July 10th, 2024. Give everybody a second to review them and then see if there's any edits. If not, we can take a motion.
I gave you all, just so you know, a package of stuff that's got a bunch of things in it, but it kind of follows the order of how we'll go through it. Some of it is just informational items that have already been done.
I don't see any corrections to the minutes.
Perfect. All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Approved and seconded. Any opposed? All right. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Next agenda item is citizen comment period. We'll open citizen comment. It's 5:02. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak?
I'll just introduce myself real quick. Hi, my name is Melissa McCollum. I'm the Chief Development Officer here at the city, and I was just excited to come to the Housing Authority meeting today, and I'm hoping that we can continue to partner with helping out with providing housing for our residents and helping to update for that. So I know you've helped out with some of the consultants that we've been doing with our CDBG plan that we have, and we're hoping to get that comp plan approved by HUD this year, and the city is undertaking a home repair program, a property improvement program, so we're hoping to help some existing homeowners that are in financial need for some home repairs. So the city's really excited to partner with some of these housing issues and needs, and we look forward to continuing to work with the Housing Authority on that.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Yeah, would you tell me your name again, just so I can?
sure. It's Melissa McCollum. I'll give you my card so you can have
That'd
it
be-
too for
that'd be
your.
Even better.
Well, thanks, Melissa. I think you're our first public testimony in at least a year. So,
All right, well, we might
Yeah.
be friends. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
start coming and see
Yeah.
if we can help you out with things and, just, gosh, there's such a need here in the Kyle area.
Yeah, we get a lot of calls. And,
Yes.
are you aware that there's a property down south on 35 called Opal Point?
Yes,
And they are renting half their units to people, well, 25% to people, I think it is. People with 60% of median
area meeting,
and then 80% of median, another 25?
yeah.
Okay, just so you know that.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that, yes. And we get a lot of requests. So I'm over at planning, building, and code enforcement, so at the city here, and I started in January of this year, so you're right, we get a lot of development requests, not only for new market rate housing, but there is a need for affordable housing as well. For me, sadly, I think they based off the Austin area median income, which is how the game is played, but I think some of our Kyle residents may be below what that is, so it would be nice if there was more variety, I think, even with some of those income limits. But that's kind of a personal opinion.
Okay.
So the grant you spoke to, is that a single grant you're going after, is that a double?
The city has put some money away in the general fund to do some home repairs. We're actually hoping to link up with Habitat for Humanity to help us implement kind of that program with some of the partnerships that they have already. And actually, through contacting them, they're already linked up in the Hayes County area. They already have 40 people on the waiting list, for kind of home repairs or modifications based on needs. So, and with the announcement of the program, we've had quite a few more people interested in that. So I think that'll be a huge opportunity. And of course, if anybody knows of any funding, that would be fantastic for that, you know.
Awesome.
Melissa, I don't know of any funding, but I am aware of an organization. It's a nonprofit in Dripping Springs, Home Missions.
Okay.
And so they're doing something similar. So I don't even know. That may be something even in Kyle, if there's a group that would be willing to do a nonprofit that could then partner somehow with the city of Kyle. They don't have a large reach with what they're able to do, but they're able to redo homes and fix things, and they raise money and have volunteers that come in and do all of those pieces for
That'd be
people who
good.
need it in Dripping Springs.
Well, I'm going to give you my card, and then maybe you can
Yeah.
give me their
I
contact
can connect
information.
you.
and I can
There
see
may
if
be
I
a
can-
way to bring something similar here
Absolutely.
and partner.
I have a question for you. I get emails periodically from local people that say, I have a house for rent. And of course, you know, at the Housing Authority, we don't have any vacancies. Right now, we've actually got a waiting list.
Yeah.
Would that be something that if I sent to you, you might be able to target people for?
Maybe my question, are they contacting you about potential acceptance of vouchers? Is that
They're
what they're?
looking, you know, they don't say, they just say,
Yeah.
it just simply says, I have a house for rent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would say traditionally, the city hasn't really got involved with that level of renting, or kind of a database for that, because it switches so quickly and so often, and I feel like the realtors really have their, you know, kind of plugged in, you know, for that. But I think every once in a while, we get calls from the city, you know, wondering about the wait list, or if there's additional vouchers or different things in those regards. But I haven't had calls really on more of that rental market level, because usually if they're willing to rent a house affordably, there's a lot of people willing to rent, honestly.
I figured that's what you were gonna say, but if I didn't ask, I wouldn't know.
And there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
No, thank you.
And then another
Thank
program
you.
you might look at towards like energy efficiencies is a Solar for All program. It's being put together now through HUD, but it's
Oh,
an
okay.
initiative for state, local, city, municipalities to put solar on buildings, but that extends into the lower income families as
Absolutely.
well.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Doesn't believe anyone else is here, so 5:08 PM we'll close citizen comment. And then next on the agenda item is Steve's management report.
Several things. Talking about Charles Young first, it's 100% occupied. It really doesn't have any issues. I just certified with public housing yesterday afternoon to do all the annual paperwork that's required by them. They're coming up on the end of the HUD or public housing fiscal year, so they have to get all this stuff done in order to be in compliance. One thing they did do was we got money set aside for capital items, about $88,000 that we'll spend in the next 12 months to 24 months on Charles Young only. And I've already targeted what that'll be for. It's primarily for the interiors, because we've already done the exterior work over there as far as carpentry and painting and roofs and one thing or another. Pavement, all that was done in the 2022-23 fiscal year. So that's all moving along. I've also turned some of the responsibility over to one of my regional directors, the one that actually oversees the housing authority, to learn more about how to work with public housing and be the primary purpose there, because sometimes I'm just too busy, or I just don't get to it, and I don't want anything to be missed, and so I'll still have a handle in it, but Jeanette will be the one doing all the day-to-day stuff. And y'all have met Jeanette. She's been the regional on the property since we took it over 3 years ago, so I believe that it's been 3 years already. September 1st was 3 years. And so that is something else that's going on. On Pete Dressen, we just had a MOR, Management and Occupancy Review, done by Southwest Housing Compliance Corporation. And if y'all remember back, when I took over, the last MOR that had been done was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And it was 58 pages long because there were so many findings in it. And when we took over, we started cleaning up all that. And it took us about 6 months to get it all taken care of, but we did. And so we just recently had another annual MOR. And we got an above average, which is the second best score you can get. Superior is the best. And there was 2 findings on the entire inspection. And they have been closed out, and I got a letter last week from one of the ladies at Southwest Housing that she'd closed the MOR out, and we're good to go for another year at least. So that's progress in itself, getting an above average, because the place was a mess, as I've told y'all many times. We've completed, and I've told y'all this in an email, but just so it'll be a matter of this record, we've completed the first 3 buildings of Pete Dressen with replacing all of the original siding, trim, doors, etc., with concrete-based wood products, and then painted the exterior of those 3 buildings, 3-tone color scheme that's not brown. And they look great. I just came from over there, and they do look real good. So that is done. And then we'll do that, and the plan is to do that. There's 16 buildings, and we'll do them in 5 phases. We've done 1. And as part of the budget-based rent increase that I got from USDA for that property a couple of years ago, we get so much money, $9,000 and change a month in the budget, that I transferred to a separate bank account and just hold on to it. And when I build up enough to do 3 buildings, then I get the contractor back involved. And he'll start on those 3, and then once he's completed, then we have to go through city. Yeah, actually, we have to go through city inspections in advance. He has to get permits. And then we have to go through inspections when he's done. And they just actually inspected those 3 buildings last Friday. Although he's been done for about a month, they just finally got around to coming over and inspecting them, and the inspector passed them. So that's the progress that's going on with that. The property's 100% occupied. We're in the midst of doing a OCAF rent increase, which is an annual contract renewal with Southwest Housing and HUD and the USDA. We're going to get a 5.3% rent increase that will be effective December 1st. We're still doing some of the paperwork on that with regard to the utility allowance for the residents, but we'll have that done by the end of this week and submit it all to to, Southwest Housing to, to get it all
Steve,
finalized.
this increase, is this the first official one that we have? Is this gonna be the first one, or is this the second one?
No, we got a budget-based rent increase of 82% that went into effect December 1 of '22. And then we got an OCAF in '23, and I forget what that percentage was. And what OCAF means, it's a cost of living increase. And it's based on some number that the government puts out, that's the official quote-unquote cost of living factor, okay? And they use that for a lot of different things, like people on Social Security like me. That cost of living number affects how much I'm gonna get more next year in Social Security. At any rate, I thought about doing a budget-based rent increase, but I didn't for, looking at the numbers and everything, I just was gonna have a hard time selling USDA on another budget-based rent increase after getting 82% 2 years ago. So I just decided I was gonna wait maybe another year and then try and take a look at that again, so.
The challenge wasn't big enough for you? Decided
No,
to
it's not
take
a
it?
question of challenge, Daniel, I promise you.
Yeah.
And it was a challenge to do that first one. In fact, there were so many people at Southwest Housing and HUD that told me, USDA will never approve that. And I said, well, I'm gonna do it. And if they don't approve it, you can't say I didn't try. And when they did approve it, people were just, couldn't believe it. So, at any rate, you just gotta pick your fights, basically, And so, we got that going on. Other than that, everything's going pretty well at Peak Dressing. And by the way, when we did the exterior painting, we also replaced the doors, the hardware, the lock assemblies on all the front doors. And then also we replaced the storeroom doors on the buildings and put new hardware on those. We also put new light fixtures with LED light bulbs at the front door of every unit on those 3 buildings. I did go ahead because I was able to get a good price on it by buying 30 of everything. I went ahead and bought all that and we've got it stored. And then when the contractor's there doing his work, we just give him the number of units that, this number of each item. God bless you. To do those units, that way they don't disappear.
So when do you see the 5th phase being completed?
Say it again?
The 5th phase, how far out are we?
I figure it's about 2 years because it's $214,000. And I'm doing 3 buildings at a time. So if you figure 16 buildings, that's almost 15,000 a building. And so I've got to put together about 45,000 to do 3 buildings, and I'm putting aside $9,000 a month, so you can figure that, I figure it's gonna take, 2 years, maybe 26 months. And it just depends on, change orders and things of that nature. Like when the city told us that we had to get permits, they came out and looked around and made a laundry list of things that the contractor had to do, which weren't part of his contract. So he had to write change orders for that, just typical stuff.
Is that last phase of residents are gonna be tough?
What?
The last phase of residents is gonna be tough, because they're, when's our turn, when's our turn?
Well, my people have been keeping them informed on what the plan is.
That's good, that's good.
And I'm still planning on doing, when it gets a little warmer, cooler if it ever does. Now that we've got 3 buildings painted over there, and all the roofs replaced. I'm still planning to hold an open house so we could invite some of the local politicians and, you know, city people to come see what we've been doing for the last 3 years. You know, and that's something you've wanted me to do, but I've been pushing it back because for, you know, a variety of reasons, but we'll get to it. Anyway, that's what I've got on Pete Dressen. And then in general, the management contracts expired the end of August, so I need to create new ones. And what I'll do is get that done, and there's some HUD forms that have to be done, and new management agreements. And HUD actually recently in April increased the amount of management fee that I can charge. So the timing's good. I can, you know, make a little more money. You know, in these 51 units, that's like $250 a month, 255. So the next time we have a board meeting, I'll bring those, or I'll send them to you in advance. They'll be duplicates of what we did 3 years ago, except for the dates and the management fee amounts. On the my mind's gone blank. Oh, on the Franconia. After I got y'all's okay and passed that on to Ralph Coppersmith, I asked he and Ally, his assistant on that, being that HUD said that they agreed to pay that amount, when would they pay it now that I've said that the board has agreed to it? And they said, Ally emailed me and said it would probably be September or October of '25. So they'll probably, it's my thinking they'll do it in October of '25 because that'll be the start of another fiscal year. But you never know about HUD, how they do things. I mean, Brad can tell you that better than I can because he, you know, he's been working with them a lot closer than I do, so. But that'll be a good, an excellent source of revenue for the Housing Authority. And then once we get that, then we can escalate finishing the phases and, you know, start doing things on the interior of the unit and make some plans, you guys. I'll make some recommendations and then y'all can, you know, discuss it and give me the okay or change something or whatever you want to do, and then I'll carry it out. But that will be a great thing for the Housing Authority.
It'd be
And-
nice to have some options.
You know,
You know, and I'd love to just recommend that when that does happen, you know, we've got that and then the potential for this other project, that we even just set aside a workshop meeting to really think about
yeah,
where do we need to be, and maybe it would be a good time then to look at how do we, if we need to replace the one seat that has been vacant, so that we have a full board, and we're ready to
I
really
agree.
address all of that.
I agree. But, you know, once we get that money, that'll be exciting.
And then do we need to get, like,
What?
our accountant's advice or something on how that goes into each bucket of funds?
Well, before, I have not gone back to her and said, here's another little tidbit of information you need to think about how we gotta, you know, and I don't know if those funds are gonna be taxable. They shouldn't be because the Housing Authority is not taxed. So, but you never know about something like that, and you know, this is all, I've never done a Franconia claim before, I never heard of it until about a year ago, so. Once we get a little, you know, further down the line, then I'll get with Norma Little, the CPA, and ask her tell her the story and let her tell me how we, we need to act. So, and that's it on my management report, unless y'all have any questions for me.
No, just a statement. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
You got more accomplished than I really thought you could do, so.
I got more accomplished than I thought I could do.
We appreciate you diving right in. This has not been easy, and you've persevered through a lot of the murkiness. And I'm just very excited about our potential once we have the Franconia claim funds and as we hopefully are able to get this other project on the way. There's a lot of positive things I think that will happen for the
Yeah.
residents and what we can think about with just a
agree.
long-term planning.
I agree. This is not anything that I thought that I'd ever, have my hands involved in 3 years ago when I sat and talked with y'all the first time.
Just think, we weren't thinking
we said
any
the
of
same
this
thing.
either.
In fact, I've told, y'all talked to Brad Prack, who's a friend of mine,
Yeah.
before, he referred me to you because he wanted to pass. I've told him about these things and he said, "You've got to be kidding me."
I don't think anybody thought about any of this, yes.
All right. Well, it's 5:27, so we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is new business. So what do we got, Steve? We've got the ratification of the board resolution for the operating budget, and then we have possible action on a bank account.
The deal on the operating budget is that was a form or a report that had to be signed by Daniel. I thought I could sign it, but the people at Public Housing said no. And so it had to be submitted before the end of June. And so Daniel and I talked about it and decided that we would proceed with it and then bring it up to ratify at the board level during the next meeting. And so, and then when we met in July, I didn't put it on the agenda, so we couldn't bring it in. So I've got it on the agenda now, and I needed just board ratification that what the two of us did was okay.
So I move that we ratify the PHA board resolution for the public housing operating budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024.
We have a second?
Is this what I'm looking at right here?
That's it.
Second.
All right. Any opposed? Hearing none?
Oh, do we say yes? Any discussion? I just wanted to put in the record that I moved to ratify this because we did direct that this be done by you, and it was just a matter of a simple, you couldn't sign it, Daniel could, so it didn't really change the essence or the content of what we were doing with it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, and that was, yeah. All right, next item is, as you know, at the last board meeting, you all gave me the authority to enter into a memo of understanding with Stryker Properties, who is the owner of the Opal Point, Kyle. The housing authority, by doing that, becomes or will become a partner with Stryker with very limited, if any, responsibility other than to be a partner. I've given you in this package of stuff a copy of the MOU, which I signed and the owner of Stryker signed about 30 days ago. That was after we had our board meeting. I also, because you all approved that at the last board meeting, that we proceed with that, the attorneys have created resolution number 24, which I gave you a copy of. So just for your record, so you can see what it's all about. And that is, Daniel has already signed that because it was approved during the board meeting, the last board meeting. And now, as we come closer to actually finalizing the MOU and creating the partnership, we have some need to open bank accounts, at least one, probably two, in order to put the money in when we close, and supposedly by the end of October, it will close. And the only thing that'll delay that is attorneys. They're great at delaying things, so. But at the time we do close, I need a bank account, or the housing authority needs a bank account to place the funds into so that we can then operate. They don't write checks anymore. They wire the money, or, whatever, ACH or wire. So I've had tremendous problems with Wells Fargo, where the housing authority has banked for a long time. The history is that Wells Fargo bought the bank that the housing authority originally opened these accounts in 1976. And so it was a local bank, and, I'm sure it was a lot easier to deal with. The Wells Fargo is absolutely horrendous. Daniel can tell you, I had to drag him into the local Wells Fargo.
I liked our 3 hours of sitting there together.
Bonding time.
Bonding. Couldn't have done anything better with the workday. So,
And so what my recommendation to you today is I don't want to open any more accounts at Wells Fargo. We're not required to. I had the CPA take a look at the MOU and asked her questions like, do I have to open accounts where we already have accounts? And she said, absolutely not. Because this is, in effect, a separate entity that'll be under the umbrella of the housing authority. She said, you can open the account anywhere you want. So my recommendation is that we open it at Broadway Bank. They have a branch here. Their home office is San Antonio. I do a lot of business with them and have a great relationship with them. And I would just tell you that it'll be a heck of a lot easier on my part doing it with them. I can open this account up by email and send her the bank vice president that I deal with, send her the necessary paperwork, and then she'll in turn send me and Daniel and whoever else you want as a signer. Are you a signer, Michelle? No. Okay, it's just two of us. And I'm going to put Gloria from my office on there. I added her and Daniel were there with me one day for 3.5 hours while we added the two of them. At any rate, that's my recommendation. If you want me to do something different, I'll be glad to follow your instructions. But just for simplicity, that's what I recommend.
That's the first thing I thought of, Broadway, whenever you started this conversation.
Really?
I
Yeah.
think you have a relationship, and,
They're, Broadway, it's locally owned, it's, family owned in San Antonio. It's not, stock and stuff like that. I've been doing business with them for 20 years.
So what would stop us from moving everything there? Is that too difficult? Or could we?
There's
do
a
it in-
lot of, that's something to look at in the future, but there's a lot involved in that because that's quote unquote housing authority. And this one is not because it's an entity that the housing authority will own.
Not related to government, all the governmental
Yes.
entities.
Exactly.
Okay.
It could be done, but, I just haven't even thought about it. Well, I have thought about it, but I've not brought it up, but it is something that we could do down the road.
Just have that.
There's a lot of legwork that has to be done in advance of actually doing it because of voucher payments and dealing with public housing. We have 6 different bank accounts with Wells Fargo. And we've got a operating account for each entity. We've got a reserve for replacement account for Pete Dressen. We've got a security deposit account. We've got another account that $9,000 every month.
Yeah.
I put that in it. And there's one other account, I don't even remember what it's for, but actually we closed an account when we took over because there was no need for that account.
Okay.
So,
We'd have to find 2 vacation days so we could post up at the Wells Fargo.
Well, just y'all two.
Yeah, I got that vibe real quick from you guys.
I'm telling you, it's just like, that sounds like going to bank in another country. It takes all day.
now, and I will tell you that the attorneys that drew up these 2 agreements, who are representing us in this transaction, they have already applied for a tax ID number for this new entity. And they are doing the paperwork at the state in order to get it, set up and make it official. So, and they're handling all that, and that's not something the housing authority has to pay for. The Stryker people will be paying for that.
That's right. I think is this the one thing you want to ask us for? Sounds good to me. Moving one account to Broadway.
We can accommodate that.
All right, we got a motion?
Yeah.
A motion to approve resolution number 25 to open up a new bank account at the Broadway Bank for the partnership between the Housing Authority and Stryker Properties.
We got a second?
Friendly amendment, adopt the resolution instead of approve.
All right. All right. Unless there's any opposition, it is approved for adoption.
All right.
You want it? No. Oh, you already signed it?
Yeah. All right.
Way ahead.
All right, Steve, you got anything else for us?
That's all I got today. Now, I do have one other thing. Some new
Is it all-
business information is that I have been told by these lawyers that over the next 30 days or so, that we're gonna need to be able to get together quickly. And so,
Within the next 30 days?
sometime, and it may be more than once, there's gonna be things that are gonna come up that they're gonna need to, that y'all are gonna need to, discuss and approve. And so,
Want to set up-
I guess that's just putting you on notice. Most of the boards in these housing authorities that they do business with are bigger. Like Austin's got a much bigger board, I guess, and, in our case, we gotta have 3 people out of 4. And so, and it's not easy, to get all of you, together. Well, you see the emails I send out. And everybody's, busy in their own, deal, and you're doing volunteer work here, it's great pay. But
The taxes are low
Then,
on it.
yeah, so,
True.
I mean, that's what I was thinking, the next 30 to 60, you get into holiday parties.
Exactly,
If
and
we want
that's-
to try to
I'm
come up with
hoping
a
that it'll
tentative
actually
date.
close by the end of October, but I may be calling or emailing you to have a meeting or two in the next 20 days, you
Do you
know.
want to set up a tentative date, just so
I can't because I gotta wait to hear from them. I guess we could set up a tentative date and say, you
just to
know,
have
Maybe
something,
have something on hold,
yeah.
so that
that way we have one?
there's something.
That's a good idea. Let's talk about October 23rd. That's a when does the city council meet?
They're usually Tuesdays.
In October, the
Yeah.
15th,
15th?
yeah.
Okay.
But
Oh,
I will say
that's right. They
Wednesday's
meet on
usually Tuesday,
Tuesdays.
but you guys meet at 5?
Yeah, and that one's a Wednesday, so
Oh,
we should
okay.
hopefully be good. I'm good until 6.
So you could meet on the 23rd
I can get on the 23rd.
I can,
at 5? What about you, Danny?
Which day?
23rd
Of,
October.
yeah, I've got to be in Wimberley at 6, but, yeah, we can.
it sounds like this will be quick.
So the.
It should be.
afternoon, I'm just gonna put like potential.
23rd of October?
23rd of October at
Which
5.
is a Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
KH.
I think the room's available.
Okay, awesome. All right.
Okay, well, that'll be tentative and, you know, I'll shoot those attorneys an email tomorrow and say that that we've set up a tentative meeting date just so we can be ready for anything they throw at us.
Yeah, work around us.
Yeah, and hopefully, you know, they will. They've been really good so far. Chapman, are you familiar with Chapman? And I can't remember the other name, there's another, they're from Dallas.
No?
But they do a lot of these MOUs, from what I gather. And another new business note is Darren Smith. Y'all remember Darren Smith? He is representing us in this transaction, just to make sure we, you know, that the attorneys or Stryker's attorneys don't do anything to mess us up.
Okay.
Okay, he's the gentleman that was here at our last board meeting. And he told me the other day when I was talking to him that he's got another developer that wants to do a project and needs a partnership in Kyle. So,
I think there's going to be a bunch of them.
yeah, he said, he said, are you interested? I said, sure, why not, you know?
I'm Steve, why not? You know?
It's not that, you know, it's for you, it's for the housing authority. I mean, if we can make another, you know, deal like that and put some more money in the operating account, I mean, that's great.
Let's do it.
Not the same development crew, though?
Say it again?
Not Stryker?
No, it's somebody different. It's not Stryker, no.
All right.
Okay?
Well, thanks all. It's
That's all.
it's 5:44 PM and we are adjourned.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you all for being here.
Hello.